SBF has ended up in jail. We're going to get into the rejection of ARK's 21 shares Bitcoin ETF. We are at block height 803,000 on the dot. Lovely number there. It is 5:58 a.m. Bitcoin is trading on the exchange $29,439. Sats per USD 3,397. Blocks to the next halving 37,000 exactly. We're 82.38% of the way there. And we do have 92.65% of the 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be out there, out in circulation, which is a total supply 1946. Most of that is in cold storage. We can see the market is up overall in the last 24 hours, but very barely. Little bit of green, little bit of red. We'll get into some exciting things there. What I want to show you on the Bitcoin chart, we're going to zoom out a little bit before we get into SBF and Cathie Wood over here. So you can see in the last 24 hours, we've had a low of 29,328, a high of 29,437. We are really consolidating at the moment, and we are pushing down into this and very sideways. So this is on the 7-day chart here. Very often we'll see it go up, and I'm not a chartist by any means, but this could potentially be the start of a flag, and then we go up and then we go sideways again further. Definitely looks like it is winding up for a big move. Whether that's to the upside or the downside, that is to be determined. Probably more in favor of the upside there. For those interested in Ethereum, 1854 up a whole 0.3% last 24 hours there. 1845 in the last 24 hours was the low. 1853 as the high. You can see it's really just pumped up in the last hour here. Very exciting. We'll see what's going on with that and if it lasts. The market overall pretty green, good to see. Now SBF, I just want to say with SBF here, this does not mean that he's going to stay in prison after he's been charged, but at the moment he has been jailed ahead of the trial. Now SBF's very easy for us to be able to hate on, so we'll try and do our best just to stick to the facts here today. I do want to say just really quickly, some amazing videos that I did on the weekend with Greg Foss, Peter Dunworth, Jason Meyer, they will be coming out as well. So if you hit subscribe, you'll get those. Just hit the notification button. So when those podcasts are released, they will show up for you. And I can show you a couple of things here. Natalie Brunel video, very good. She's just interviewed Safety and a Moose. But if we go over to videos, we have Brian Dement, Luke Mikic there, Rob from Riot, very good. Jake Woodhouse sold all his real estate, which was a huge amount of money. This is a very high net worth individual. Put it all into Bitcoin there, working with Pete Dunworth, the Bitcoin advisor. World's top crypto law firm and expert, Haley Lennon there. We have Jared, a little bit of banter on a Friday. That was great. Natalie Brunel as well. So hit subscribe, check out those videos. Let's carry on here with SBF going to jail. So he was accused of leaking former Alameda Research CEO Caroline Ellison's diary to the New York Times. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried was sent to jail ahead of his October trial on multiple financial crime charges. So a federal judge revoked his release on bond Friday afternoon. Well done to that judge for having the big kahunas to be able to do that. Obviously SBF is highly connected politically. He added, "My conclusion is there is probable cause to believe the defendant has attempted to tamper with witnesses at least twice. There is a rebuttable presumption that there is no set of conditions that will ensure Bankman-Fried will not be a danger." Now, violating the terms of his bond by trying to tamper with multiple witnesses, according to the Department of Justice, Bankman-Fried's reaching out to former FTX.US General Counsel Ryan Miller and using a virtual private network too. Just remember this, using a virtual private network, using a VPN too, in the words of his defense team, watch the Super Bowl, were enough to require a modification of his bail conditions. The last straw, however, was Bankman-Fried sharing part of former Alameda Research CEO Caroline Ellison's private diary with the New York Times. Not a fact, personal opinion in regards to sharing an ex-girlfriend's private diary. That is absolutely disgusting. That guy is definitely not a man and acting like a little kid there. He has no balls. Now, Bankman Fried is currently set to go on trial at the start of October on wire fraud, commodities fraud, securities fraud, money laundering, and related conspiracy charges. He faces another trial tentatively scheduled for next March on additional charges brought by the DOJ after Bankman Fried's arrest and extradition. Bankman Fried going to jail ahead of his trial does not mean he'll go to prison after. It's something to keep in mind there. In regards to what I was saying in regards to the VPN, remember when that axe came out and is about TikTok and making the use of a VPN illegal? It is funny that the judge there, while we can presume Sam Bankman-Fried was up to no good with the use of the VPN, we don't want that to be a precedent where using the VPN in and of itself becomes illegal, which they are trying to do. So keep that in mind. We are going to go over to Cathie Wood now because the Bitcoin ETF application decision has been pushed out by the SEC here. This does not mean that we won't get a Bitcoin ETF. This is what the article has to say. I'll give you my thoughts as we wrap this up. So the SEC published an order calling for public input on the ARK21 shares Bitcoin ETF application. Standard move that pushes any decision by another several weeks. The SEC has a total of 240 days to make a final decision on an application after it starts reviewing one. In sum, the exchange believes that this proposal is consistent with the requirements of Section 6B5 of the Act. Imagine having to read through all of those. It gets very tedious. Anyway, this filing sufficiently demonstrates that the CME Bitcoin futures market represents a regulated market of significant size, and that on the whole, the manipulation concerns previously articulated by the Commission are sufficiently mitigated to the point that they are outweighed by investor protection issues that would be resolved by approving this proposal. This is what the filing said. That is a very exciting, very strong language there. So Cathie Wood's ARK Invest CEO told Bloomberg on Monday she expected a delay in a decision on her firm's application, but that the SEC will ultimately approve several applications simultaneously. Because most of these essentially will be the same, it will come down to marketing, communicating the message to see how they do. We are trying to get the word out there that our research is deep, and we've been doing it since 2015. So Scott Farah, then the legal counsel at consumer advocacy group Better Markets, said the regulator should reject the Bitcoin ETF outright, saying the surveillance sharing agreements set up in proposals were wholly inadequate. So we may not get this Bitcoin ETF straight away. It's just a matter of when. Obviously, there's very differing opinions in the market in regards to it. So we'll carry on here with what it has to say. Oh my gosh. So the spot Bitcoin markets, number one, have a history of artificially inflated trading volumes due to rampant manipulation and wash trading. 2, are highly concentrated, and 3, rely on a select group of individuals and entities to maintain Bitcoin's network. These features of the Bitcoin network that make a proposed spot Bitcoin-based ETF extremely vulnerable to manipulation by bad actors, posing unnecessary risks to investors and the public interest. The proposed rule changes offer little to neutralize these threats. Fairly interesting. We'll see what happens as we go forward with that. The Bitcoin ETF, a Bitcoin ETF at some stage will be approved. That I feel like I can guarantee. Obviously nothing certain. I put a high probability on that in the very short term. Whether that's short term, I believe it'll be before the halving, which is April, May 2024. So that's the time frame we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion. Bitcoin bought by corporate giants should not be fed. So Michael Saylor, this was when he was talking with Natalie Brunell here, this lady on Natalie's Coin Stories, was saying you don't need to fear it when we have these big corporations. And he suggested that while Bitcoin enthusiasts may desire total self-control or sovereignty over their Bitcoin, it might not be the only answer, as people will be using Bitcoin for diverse purposes. We need to be prepared for Bitcoin to infuse everything Saylor stated, explaining that as Bitcoin becomes more integrated into society, it will have many use cases and there will be no one-size-fits-all model. There's Michael and Natalie together. So Bitcoin is going to be a base layer. There is going to be layer 2s like Lightning to make things fast, and there is going to be layer 3s like Bank of America and Apple. Custodial layer 3 is going to exist to provide functionality. Imagine that, Bank of America holding Bitcoin. I was talking to someone, it was a very high level conversation last week. I won't dox them, but it is looking more and more likely that banks around the world, at least here in Australia, are going to start potentially selling Bitcoin, and they'll custody it as well. And that's sort of what Michael's talking about here with Bank of America. In Australia, it is looking like we'll get rid of the exchanges more and more and then have traditional finance be able to sell you and hold your Bitcoin for you. So just one thing I'd say, not your keys, not your coins. If you can take self-custody, learn about that. BTC sessions, probably the best way for cold storage to be able to jump in over there. Now, Saylor suggested the possibility that it is safer for certain people to entrust their assets to others. He gave the example of an 85-year-old grappling with Alzheimer's. I didn't complain that my mother and father had the keys when I was 12 years old and I didn't get the car key, Saylor stated. Bit of an example there where it's not always bad if somebody is holding that information back, the Bitcoin, the car keys, you get the point there. We shouldn't be afraid of all the different ways people integrate, wrap, embed, or execute with Bitcoin. There is no one right answer. The marketplace will determine the right mix of integrations of Bitcoin. So just keep that in mind, that Bitcoin is going to continue to change on the user experience, the user interface level, but on the base layer, 21 million ever, backed up by the world's largest computer network and working forward to be able to promote sustainable renewable energy and making that possible in the world. Now, WorldCoin, total PSYOP, this one here, they've opened up world reservations for unverified users because not everyone wants to get their iris scanned. WorldCoin project has remained controversial right from its announcement and is currently facing regulatory trouble in multiple jurisdictions where it is launched. Good. Absolutely good. Get rid of this. So the iris scanning crypto project WorldCoin has now made it possible for even unverified customers to reserve their world tokens, WLD. Looks like wild. Anyway, August 11, WorldCoin project noted the WorldCoin app now offers a reservations feature for everyone to reserve their world tokens before verifying their world ID. Reservations, 12 months, users can redeem their reserved world tokens by visiting the iris scanning device called the Orb. Wow. So the WorldCoin project consists of 3 key elements: the WorldCoin ID, the WorldCoin app, and the WorldCoin token. Users willing to scan their iris to create a biometric data-based ID system are rewarded with native wild tokens. If you're getting something for free, I just need to remind you that you are the product, and that's fine. If you want to take that, do it. We give you our biometric data every time we use our phone's Face ID, every time we're walking around where there's CCTV, our biometric data is being scanned. Every time we go past 5G towers, they do pull everything off your phone. They know who we are, where we're at. So if you get some free money out of it, I just want to say, for me, I won't be doing it. Biased opinion, but I won't for any reason. Anyway, you do you, I'll do me, and we're allowed to be different. 9 billion people in the world, we're all going to do things slightly different, ladies and gentlemen. That's no drama. The WorldCoin project consists of 3 key elements: the ID, the app, and the token. So users willing to scan their iris, create biometric data set. We went through that. The project promises to create a global data set for humans to differentiate it from bots in the future. Now we're getting very scary. So the project's claim is based on the fact that in the future, artificial intelligence will become so prominent that it will become difficult to differentiate real humans from bots on the internet, with World ID becoming the default ID system for humans to get access to various services. Well, just think about that for a moment. We're not going to know human from robots, and I think even eventually, and maybe it's going to take a long time for it to happen, but those Tesla bots, I showed you a video about them about 6 weeks ago, and there's 5 of them, and they're just like walking down the street like that. If you had them coming at you, at the moment they look very robotic, but they may potentially end up looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator. Anyway, that's enough food for thought. Visa explores crypto gas fee payments through cards. So if you are interested in Ethereum and you thought it was decentralized, and then you see what Visa is doing with Ethereum, maybe just reanalyze, take a look at that analysis that you have done, because they're not, and that's fine. There's money to be made if you're willing to spend the time and use the brain energy. Nothing against anyone doing that. So in a potential transformative move for users, Visa, the payment solution provider, is testing an innovative solution enabling on-chain gas fees to be paid using a Visa card. It's actually pretty cool for the ecosystem how it is in betting. Is there a use case? Potentially stable coins with that on that network. So that's fine. It's your money, it's your choice. Visa's innovative solution employs Ethereum ERC 4337 standard and the Paymaster smart contract, enabling off-chain gas fee settlement. The process involves the user triggering an Ethereum transaction via wallet sent to the Paymaster. Web service computes the gas fee and charges Visa users in CyberSource sequentially. I still didn't say that right twice in a row. So a digital signature is provided momentarily, validated, then attached by the wallet before being sent to Ethereum. Paymaster verifies the signature and covers the gas fee there. So we'll watch that, and I'll keep you up to date with it because it is pretty interesting. Not the biggest fan of Ethereum because of how often they have changed everything. That's DeFi, that's crypto in general. So I do distinguish between Bitcoin and crypto. We'll keep you up to date with the market. Hit subscribe if we vibe. We'll see you on the next video, and watch this video as it pops up. Probably